Disco Elysium is a dialogue-heavy mystery role-playing game. The narrative follows Harry Dubois, a detective freshly awoken from substance-induced amnesia after a 3-day suicidal bender. Due to this, he has no memory of who he is, how the world works, or any details of the murder case he's assigned to. As multiple leads are followed to find the culprit behind the hanging of mercenary Lely, Harry battles with the memory of his wife leaving him over his ongoing self-destructive tendencies. In this video, the game will be analysed under the lens of games as art and ludology. Point 1. Disco Elysium utilizes the concept of unreliable narration to enhance its storytelling and mystery. One of the main concepts you rely on for information is the unique take on skills. As one would expect, points are delegated to each skill at the beginning and throughout the game. There are 24 in total. Drama helps you detect lies, authority maintains your position of power, and perception helps you spot the little details, to name a few. However, what sets this apart from typical RPG mechanics is that each skill is a personified voice in Harry's head during dialogue, voiced, opinionated, and often in conflict. This causes purposeful gaps in the game's narrative, creating suspicion and distrust in the player. This phenomenon is defined by the 2012 study by Felon et al. Stating that unreliable narration conveys incomplete, inaccurate, or inconsistent information. Disco Elysium aligns with this definition, as the player must navigate a fragmented mental landscape where the protagonist's thoughts are a mix of insightful and misleading. This can be seen clearly in the detective's first interrogation of Palacios, potential suspect and the deceased lover. Volition, the skill in charge of preserving sanity and objectivity, warns that her captivating beauty has compromised all of the other skills' rational judgment. This underlines how Harry's personal biases influence his perception of the world, and gives a harsh reality check to the player, who very well may have been taking all of the information at face value. Point 2. Gameplay relies on chance-based skill checks to unlock actions. Chance is a large factor of Disco Elysium's gameplay. Within ludology, this is called alea, a concept that is described by Kawa in 2001 as a surrender to destiny. In other words, it negates skills and experience, instead relying on chance. In-game, these are called skill checks, dice rolls with varying difficulty that determine certain outcomes. Passive checks happen constantly in the background, and if they pass, that certain skill will give additional dialogue. In this example, you unlock insight to how the woman's emotions affect her, feeling as if they burn like acid. This simple mechanic effectively weaves in world building and unique understanding throughout its dialogue. There are also active checks, where an action or line of dialogue is locked behind a dice roll. Contrary to the philosophy of man play in games, where chance is considered total disgrace or absolute favor, Disco Elysium spins this concept on its head by rewarding both wins and fails. Failing a check does not always end in defeat, rather you often unlock unconventional dialogue branches or outlandish interactions. This concept is further discussed regarding Disco Elysium by Bodie and Thon's 2001 article on narrative dramatic agency. When Harry confronts the hotel manager about his owed bill, there's a check to slip away unnoticed. If you pass, the scene plays out realistically with Harry running away in front of everyone. But if you fail, the result is arguably more rewarding as Harry turns around while running and crashes into someone. This unlocks a secret dialogue sequence as you're knocked out, and when you come to, the manager is so shocked by the accident that he takes the drinks off your bill. This goes to show that chance is a key feature that enhances the gameplay by urging the player to try, fail, and live with the consequences. Point 1. Disco Elysium embraces its surrealist and abstract visual style to explore themes of identity. This falls under Corrado Morgana's definition of an art game that expresses its art through visual language. A striking example of this is the dream sequence where Harry envisions himself as the hanged man, with the spinning disco ball above his head. There is an inherent juxtaposition between his own lifeless body and the vibrant disco ball, creating a visual metaphor of Harry's internal struggle with identity. The disco ball and party lighting symbolizes his endless search for pleasure, while the corpse reveals that in doing so, he disregards his own well-being. This communicates the folk hedonism he has adopted into his lifestyle. The abstracted and ethereal mood of the scene creates a sense of dissonance to convey his struggle with having a fragmented sense of self. He is Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau, detective and superstar, but he is also Tequila Sunset, a broken, drunk man. This scene transcends narrative conventions, using purely visual language to express philosophical ideals before a single line of dialogue is said. Therefore, it contributes to the notion that Disco Elysium is an artwork in its own right. Point 2. Disco Elysium explores games as a literary art form, evoking self-reflection through narrative and character. There is an ongoing debate about whether video games can be considered art. In 2012, film critic Roger Ebert argued that games can't compare to great poets, filmmakers, or novelists, yet Disco Elysium inherently challenges this claim. Written by novelist Robert Kovitz, its dialogue is often intricate and poetic, making the game akin to a modern interactive novel. This literary style offers a medium to explore themes of human nature, guilt, and forgiveness, echoing the psychological depth of works from Dostoevsky and Kafka. Much like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, Harry is burdened by immense guilt that he does not fully understand, yet feels compelled to confront. Approaching the game's end, Harry is revisited by a reoccurring nightmare, one that recounts the events of his ex-wife Dora leaving the country. The landscape behind them is abstract, set against somber music and Dora's soft, remorseful voice. The player navigates hopeless dialogue trees, desperate for meaning or closure. The interactions are futile, exhausting, and repetitive, but most importantly, they are painfully human.
Real darkness has love for a face. The first death is in the heart, Harry. See you tomorrow.
This scene explores Harry's inner psyche through his guilt, encourages genuine reflection, and affirms Disco Elysium as both a video game and literary art form. Overall, Disco Elysium provides a unique, unconventional experience by relying on elements of chance and stripping its protagonists of any prior knowledge or reliable sources of information. This structure, paired with the insightful storytelling and abstract symbolism, creates an unforgettable experience that cements Disco Elysium's place as a work of art.